Hey guys, Sleepy Reader here. Just did a lame attempt at some Christmas shopping and thought I'd quickly throw together a little comic book talk review here. This was a big Death in the Family week. I got 2 of the books. I kind of wishing now from seeing some other people's reviews that I'd also gotten Batgirl and Suicide Squad. But anyhow, Batman by Capullo and Snyder. Lots of good stuff. Art. Can't even talk about Capullo's art anymore. There's just nothing more to say. But some really cool stuff in here about what Batman notices about the Joker and the way Batman thinks. But to me, it was a little bit of an uneven story. There was the whole, what I think of as the middle section. So it was really intense, the continuation of Joker and Batman's confrontation on this dam, on the top of a dam. But then I was kind of let down. There were these scenes where Batman wakes up, and I guess and is talking to all the members of his Batman family, not in their costumes. And then he wakes up again, and so the first wake up was a dream, I guess, and he's back in his Bat cave, and he has a long conversation with his Bat family about this thing he's hidden from them. And I don't know, the conversation with all the members of the Bat family didn't do much for me. And Batman's kind of arguing that Joker doesn't know who the Bat family are, who they really are, and the others are kind of psyched out by Joker saying that he does know who they are. And that's kind of cool, like Batman's insistence that the Joker doesn't know. And I don't know if Batman's going to turn out to be right or wrong. It feels in this issue like we're leaning towards the idea that Batman must be right. I mean, because so much emphasis is placed on his confidence about that. One thing I don't get, though, is this dream sequence where Alfred, or the Joker, shows up wearing an Alfred mask. That was cool. But it seems to me like in the art that we're being shown that each of the characters has a little earpiece. Is that just some oddity of Capullo's artwork? If they all have an earpiece in Batman's dream, what does that mean? I don't know. That just really caught my attention. I thought it was a clue that they were all being controlled by the Joker, but then they're in his dream. You don't see their ears so much. You don't see ears so much in the other scenes for me to tell if it's just the way he draws ears that makes it look like they have earpieces in them. I guess I'm totally off the rails here. But I just got distracted by a bunch of different things by this middle section with Batman and his family talking about things. And then it got kind of cool again, and started moving towards horror movie stuff, where we learn more about what Joker's been doing at Arkham Asylum. And it looks like Batman is headed towards some big confrontation at Arkham Asylum, and it seems like we're heading back deep into a horror movie range, which gives me a lot of hope for the next issue, being kind of a big, grand horror spectacle. We'll see. And also giving me a lot of hope was the backup story, Red Light, Green Light, with the Joker and the Riddler in Arkham Asylum. This was a really good backup. It was really fun to read. Very cool. One of the best backups I've seen so far. And made me really interested in the Riddler, which is a character I don't think, I'm sure I have read a few comic books with him in it, but it's still stuck with kind of the memory of the Adam West's version of the Riddler in my head. So anyway, cool stuff, except for me in that kind of middle section, and maybe you Batman experts will have a different judgment on how Snyder dealt with the whole interaction between Batman and his family. That this big untold thing is that there was a little clue that maybe the Joker had found his way into the Batcave, although Batman was sure it had never happened. And I've got to apologize, I think I'm spoiling more than usual. But that's how it goes. So yeah, kind of an up and down issue for me. You know, probably if I guess I'm starting to give number ratings to things, this would be more like a 4 or a 4.5 to me, rather than a 5 of the past previous issues. Probably another 4.5 would be Batman and Robin. Patrick Gleason's art is back up in total hot form, and in his best artwork, the best level of his artwork, and the things he does with Joker's face mask are incredible. I mean, he kind of on that level, he kind of ones up what's going on in the regular Batman title in grossing you out and bringing out the horror level of this. And the whole issue is just kind of one horror beat, done really creepily. I mean, really well. Yeah, you could have nightmares about some of this stuff. So really picking up their game with the crossovers into, if they are crossovers, or as Roger over in Puerto Rico says, they are. It's an event, and each story is having its own story with the Joker rather than a crossover story. We'll see. The one thing that really struck me here is, from this issue, how could Joker not, if he doesn't already know that Bruce Wayne is Batman and Damian is Robin, how could he not figure it out here? Because of the passion that Robin has to find Alfred. If Bruce Wayne and Batman were just friends, how desperate would Batman's 10-year-old sidekick be to find Alfred and go out and do it on his own? That should be. Joker has been portrayed as so clever here, the ultimate mastermind, the kind of ultimate Superman villain. He's outdoing Lex Luthor here. You'd think he could put 2 and 2 together from the clues of just in this issue. So that leaves me again wondering, but in this issue, Joker doesn't show any sign that he thinks that he distinguishes Robin as a particular person. So yeah, it's kind of an interesting thing going on here about whether the Joker does know who Batman's family is or not. And going back to Batman, one of the big statements of the previous issue was that the Joker was going to reveal some secret that would force Batman to kill his family. And so far we haven't seen any of that here, unless just more clues are being laid out that I can't yet read. So it's all fascinating stuff. And the amazing thing is, I just came from Toys R Us, and they have a comic book section. It's down at knee level for little kids, and there were all the Death in the Family issues of Batgirl, Batman, the other Batman and Robin. All of this stuff was there at knee level for little kids to find. Woe to the 6-year-old who says, "Mommy, I want a Batman comic book." What are they gonna get him? Oh well, that's the way things are. Clone 2 continued to be good. I didn't quite love, I don't know how to say his name again, Juan Jose Ripes art quite as much as I did in the first issue. It's a little, I don't know, there's more moments of weakness where the figures look a little stiff and awkward. I mean, he's a great artist, but it doesn't seem like he was kicking out the cylinders as much, which is partially explained by, there's a text page by the writer about how he comes from TV and he's used to re-editing things at the last minute, and that even after the artist had inked pages, he asked the artist to redraw them and redo things. So he must have pushed the guy right up to his deadline, which might also explain this double-page spread, which should have been on 2 pages, is back-to-back. That they were redoing the art at the last minute, and that may have kind of fouled this up a bit. It's still a good story, lots of clever twists and turns. I'd say if there's any weakness to Clone, it's that I feel, well, in the first issue I had some compassion and sympathy for our lead character, who's one of many clones. I mean, his wife is pregnant and she gets kidnapped. But here, kind of like the plot takes over and there's less feeling, less human caring to it all. But I'm still looking forward to the next issue. It seems very intense. I don't see how it can be an ongoing series. It feels like it's got to be, you know, a trade or a few trades and then over. But we'll see. Still enjoying it. One more comic to go over before I go back to work. Demon Knights. This is kind of my, you know, just like David Lee keeps getting Teen Titans, even though they're not very good. This is one of my comics that I get because I just have a long-standing, strong interest, strong love for the character, the Demon. And I also like stories with medieval settings and sword and sorcery, and it's got some of that. And this is Paul Cornell's final issue, and Paul Cornell's been like half a great writer and half a terrible writer, and it continues in here. As I've noted before, since Bernard Chang's taken over the art, things are quite a bit more clear. As an artist, he makes the storytelling very clear. But still, there are so many things where Cornell just sort of throws out stuff, or, you know, as you've known all along, which you haven't known all along. Like, for instance, he informs us that Avalon is the afterlife of noble souls. I didn't know that before. I thought Avalon was where Lady Xanadu had come from, Madame Xanadu had come from, and that she was trying to get back there. So I thought it was a land of magical women or something like that. But now we're told it's a land of afterlife of noble souls. After 15 issues in which Avalon has been something that's gone over. And the questing queen is able at all to fight against the hordes of hell. Who is the questing queen? She's also been a character from day one. Is she that powerful? I mean, she was defeated before just by mortals, and you know, the heroes holding her off at a pass until the larger army of regular humans could come along, and now she can fight the hordes of hell. Abin Sur, is that his name? I think he is. The Arab character who's the scientist apparently has the scientific power to just shoot some dust up into the air and cause rainstorms. I mean, what are his powers? It just goes on and on, all the sort of dangling stuff, or just suddenly we get this information kind of stuff that Paul Cornell does. I can't imagine what he's leaving DC. He's going to go over and do Wolverine. Can't imagine what his Wolverine's going to be like. Anyway, there was always enough stuff in here that, since I already kind of love the basic idea of this, I stuck with it. Starting next issue, we're going to have Robert Venditti, who's done such a fantastic job on Exo Man of War. So it'll be interesting to see whether he can pick up the pieces of that the interesting pieces that Cornell's just scattered about willy-nilly. Spoiler, again, in this issue we get the definitive idea that they are Stormwatch. They are called Stormwatch by a revived Merlin off in Avalon. I think it was Merlin, or was it King Arthur? And so, yeah, Merlin calls them my Stormwatch. So they are being controlled. Does this mean the modern day Stormwatch is being controlled by the souls of nobles in the afterlife, as this Stormwatch is? Anyway, it raises a lot of messy questions. And there's a lot of messy questions in Stormwatch, which I also read. So, interesting stuff. I wonder whether Demon Knights and Stormwatch and some of the others will continue, or they will be the next ones to feel the axe over at DC. because I think their sales are even lower than Frankenstein Agent of Shade, who already got the axe. There was enough here. This was, if you've been following or been interested in Demon Knights, you can read this and have fun. You do get to see the armies of hell, fight King Arthur, and fight Mordu and the questing Queen's army, and you get to see Merlin come back to life. And so there's lots of fun stuff here in the sloppy Paul Cornell style, or that's what I've come to think of his style as. Okay, guys. One more thought. It was nice to read a comic book that was mostly just fun. I feel I'm appreciating all the Death in the Family and some other kind of The Rot and some other grim death-obsessed comic books that I'm reading, but I kind of get tired of it. I'm in the mood for some lighter stuff, just some fun. So I'm going to be looking around for that. I hope you guys are all well. I hope Christmas craziness isn't taking over your lives too much. If you're people who celebrate Christmas, and I will talk to you all later.